1X Developer Podcast.
Ones and X's. Hello again. It's me, Colin.
And me, Brendan.
And it's another episode of the 1X Developer Podcast. How's it going, Brendan?
Good. How about you?
Good. We've never done that before, have we?
I don't think so.
That sounds a little bit like Good Morning America to me, kind of thing there. I don't know.
You caught me off guard a little bit. I was like, oh, good. Real good.
I'm great. What are we going to talk about today?
I want to talk about NotebookLM. It's a Google product, and maybe I'll just say from the outset, like, there's no sponsorship or anything. We don't do that kind of thing. This is just a thing I heard about and tried to use, and I wanted to talk about it.
But if you are someone who works at Google and you want to sponsor us, look at the show notes.
Yeah. Get in touch. We'll do some sponsorships. Okay. So for some reason, up until like 5 minutes before we started recording, I thought that NotebookLM was a brand new thing, but it's actually been around for quite a while, since 2023. NotebookLM was initially launched in 2023 as Project Tailwind. So it's
There's
been around
another
for
Project
a few years.
Tailwind that you might have heard of.
You're talking about the CSS Tailwind?
Yeah.
Yeah. For the nerds. But so it's been around for a few years. But it was not until so it uses the Gemini AI model. And the whole pitch of NotebookLM is that it's an AI research assistant. So you like throw a bunch of stuff into it, and then it kind of like summarizes all of the sources that you've put into it, and then you can kind of ask it questions about these sources that you've fed into it. So, I mean, it's kind of a glorified like summarizer, right? It just kind of does a summary of a bunch of stuff that you've put into it, and it tries to kind of like find connections between the things that you've put in.
Okay. And so that sounds pretty cool. By the way, I haven't used this. I've only just had the general idea of it explained to me. But it sounds cool, right? Like a lot of the time, I wish I could just ask someone like, hey, what was that thing I was thinking of the other day? Or like, hey, where did I put my phone? I don't know if I can help you with that, but
Probably not.
You know, if there was something that just like knew everything about me, that would be tight. But also scary.
But I think one of the cool things about NotebookLM though is like it's not everything about you. It's like you get to choose the sources that go into it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this is, for me, this is the first kind of AI product that I'm actually excited about. Partly because I don't really want all the stuff that a lot of AI is selling where it's like, it knows all of the context about you and it knows your interests and all this stuff. It's like, no, I want to tell you the stuff that I want you to do. And then you kind of like do the hard work of reading the articles and summarizing it. And like, to me, that's like, now we're talking about the stuff that AI is really good at, right? I don't want it to run my life. I'm using it for a specific project, and I want to use it for that project based on the sources that I've handpicked. I've already kind of curated this stuff. I'm taking it from, news sources and stuff like that I have already decided that I trust. And now I'm putting it in, and I know I'm not going to get any like birds aren't real articles or like whatever. You know what I mean? Like I think the chances of it hallucinating something out of whole cloth are way less because it's supposed to be only pulling from these sources that I give it,
Yeah. So I have a question. Can you create like instances of NotebookLM? Like, can I have like a project with like these sources and like another thing with these sources?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, multiple projects, and that's the thing. So it's pitched as like a research assistant. So projects are kind of like, I don't know, that's like the fundamental building block. You have a project, and that project has sources that feed into it.
Is this thing free?
Yes, I got pretty far without having to pay anything at all. So I don't know when you have
Okay,
to start paying,
cool.
but
Nice.
the Google stuff is a little weird right now. The pricing is like there's basically like a normal tier that you get that every Google account gets, and then there's like a premium AI tier, and I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know what you get with the NotebookLM stuff. But the exciting feature, the one that kind of like drew me into this and got me to try it was in, I think it's September. Well, first of all, I think Google opened it up to more people earlier this year. But in September 2024, they introduced this feature called audio overviews,
Right.
right? So you have your project, you fed your sources into it, and you do an audio overview. And it basically creates a podcast of two people talking about all the sources. And
Okay, question. Why would anyone want to listen to two people talk? Why would you do that?
I'm spiraling here, Colin. Like, just, you've sent me down a very, very dark mental space.
Well, that's it for today's episode. See you next time.
Yeah, that's a great question that I don't even want to begin to try to answer. But yeah, so there's in the ones that I got, I don't know if there's options, but there's a man and a woman, and they like converse back and forth. And I don't know if you know this, but there's like a lot of podcasts in the world, and the podcast that they generate is very passable. It's like, it's very, I don't know, I don't know, the cadence and everything is like spot on for what you'd expect from a podcast. There were a few weird audio glitches and like speech things, but nothing that was like a deal breaker for me. I was really impressed with the speech synthesis.
Can you like change the personalities at all? Or is it pretty much just like these two kind of canned characters?
I didn't see anything about changing the personalities of the characters. The only thing I saw was changing the length of the episode.
Okay. Well, because that's not really like we're podcasts are kind of weird, right? Because they're kind of in the edutainment space, right? Education and entertainment. But the point of this tool is to be really more education, right? More like deliver me information, right? That's the idea.
Yes. Yeah, I would say so. And like I said, for me it seemed good enough for a podcast. It was like the hosts weren't, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example that's like purely in the information lane like you're talking about. This was two people talking, and they kind of like went back and forth, and they would, I don't know, express surprise and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny knowing that all that is just completely like fake and generated, but I think that does a lot to keep you kind of entertained, even
Right.
if
It
you
keeps
know
it
it's
like,
scanned.
yeah, it makes it more interesting. So like, okay, so walk me through this. Like, so you start a project, you throw a bunch of sources, and I guess I'm assuming, this is a research tool, so they're like related things, right? Like what's one of the projects you did?
So yeah, I did a few. One of them was, I've talked in previous episodes how I use Obsidian for, one of the ways I use it is to kind of track things that I want to read, right? So I have a whole bunch of articles that are just marked as like, I'd like to read this later. So yeah, I kind of picked a whole bunch that were around a topic. I did productivity one, just a whole bunch of articles that are related to like productivity, tips and tricks and software I'd like to try and all this kind of stuff. And I threw all of those links into NotebookLM.
Okay. So it's just a bunch of different productivity related things.
Yep. All different
Okay.
websites, productivity related things, but all from all different blogs, websites, YouTube videos.
And so then you generated a podcast, and it was like the ultimate productivity podcast ever.
I probably got as much information out of it as I would have gotten if I had just like blasted through reading all those articles and watching all those videos.
Okay, that's the interesting thing. I remember hearing somewhere someone was saying like uh, this was like an entrepreneur guy on YouTube or something. He was saying like most books, and he was talking about like nonfiction books. Most books usually really have like one central idea, maybe a few, but like when you're reading a book, like you read this whole book, but it's really just to get like an understanding of this one thing, right? And so like he was saying that he reads books. And I don't know if I agree with this because I enjoy reading, but he was saying like he approaches a book as he basically flips through it to find the one idea and like put it into his brain directly. But it sounds like this is like a good way to kind of do that, right? Like I feel like people who are into like speed reading might be into this.
Yes. Wait, say more about that. How does he extract the central idea without reading the book?
Well, I think it's sort of like, you know, when did you ever like in school, did they ever tell you like how to read, how to like study a chapter? Like I remember being told like, okay, you're supposed to like read the introduction and the conclusion first and then go through and like read all the highlight, like all the headings and then look at the pictures and then you don't really have to read all the text in between. By then you kind of have most of it.
Oh, I see.
I think that's
okay.
I think that's kind of what he does. He reads like the first page and the last page and then kind of goes through and tries to like find the key moments. Like I think I remember like on Twitter a while back there was like this kerfuffle because Ty Lopez, right, who's, you know, sells courses and stuff about how to be like rich or whatever. He's always talks about how he reads all the time and he says he reads a book every day. Somehow it came out that he revealed or someone conjectured that like he doesn't actually like really read a book a day. He kind of like skims a book every day. And I think his argument was like, well, you know, look, there's an idea from a book I'm trying to get, and so I just try to get that idea out as quickly as possible. Which again, I don't know. I guess this kind of goes into like a broader topic, right, of like LLMs and everything in general, right, where it's like we're entering a world of like people are not looking at like I don't know, people are just trying to like extract content from things, and they're trying to just generate content, and it's like I don't know. I mean, there's I feel like I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you are. Like a book is a book. Like if it's a well written book, every single word is there for a reason.
Right.
So like, yeah, what are we doing here? Are we cheap? Is there like a cheapening of information or something? I don't know.
You know, I kind of suspect though that books have been in that world for a long time, right? Like nobody would buy a book that's 30 pages long. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like we kind of have to. I don't know. I think that people do expect a book to be padded out a little bit. That's just like kind of the nature of the publishing industry and like bookstores and stuff like that. So like maybe that's been going on in books for a long time, and maybe you can improve at the skill of like extracting the heart of a book without reading every single word. But to your point about LLMs, I absolutely think that's true. I think that LLMs are accelerating that process, and that people consume a lot of stuff just as content. They just want the central idea of it. And I think it depends on what it is, whether that's good or bad. Like, you know, the books that you're talking about enjoying sitting down and reading, of course, that's like an enjoyable experience, and you're not just reading for the information. But there's other stuff where, yeah, that's all I want. I just want the information.
Right. And again, I mean, this is coming from the world of like self-help books, where a lot of them don't even have an idea at all. Really, it's just like a book on a shelf. You know, I've read books where I'm like, you know, there's like a I don't know if there's like a word for this. There's like that category of book that it's like a celebrity wrote, and it's not even really like an autobiography. It's just kind of like so and so's book, and it's like, why did you even write this? Like, it's just a thing for them to sell, you know.
Yeah, I think in a lot of cases they probably didn't even write it, right? There's like people who write books for people who just want to have a book. It's a very, very weird world.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens.
But the audio overview stuff was really good because I consume a lot of my content like that via podcast, and I have like a decent commute, so I listen to a lot of podcasts in the car. It was kind of great to be able to kind of plow my way through. These are just like a whole bunch of articles that I've marked in Obsidian, and I've said, that sounds interesting. I'd like to know more about that. I don't necessarily need to like sit down and really concentrate on it. I just kind of want to like know the gist. And
Yeah.
I thought this was great for that. And I want to, consuming it in audio podcast format just makes it that much easier for me to do on my commute at a time where I couldn't be reading my Obsidian book.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because, I think also that goes for like most things. Like most people don't want to know all the details about something, right? I think most people, they just are casually interested in something and they just want to like hear about it.
Yeah.
So do you think you learned a lot out of that podcast? Was it like a really like high impact podcast?
No. I think
No.
I took away. Well, I think, I listen to tons of podcasts that I don't feel like I get a lot out of. I get something out of them, but I don't, if I listen to a podcast that's, man, I shouldn't say this on the podcast. If I listen to a podcast that's an hour long, I don't always need to hear maybe this is kind of what you're talking about, the central idea, right? There's something at the heart of it, and then there's like the stuff around that. And if I want to dive further, I guess what a lot of times when I'm listening to a podcast, what I want to know is, do I need to dive deeper into this? Do I need to spend some time learning more about this? And most of the time, the answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, the answer is like, I got what I needed. That's fine. A passing.
Well, it's interesting to me because like the podcasts I listen to are more entertainment usually, and it's more like I've been listening to Creepcast a lot, and they just talk about creepy pastas on the internet. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, I know creepypasta.
Yeah, so they just pick a scary story from the internet and they read it, and they also like joke around and like we'll talk about other things. And to me, it's like it's that in between stuff. I've talked about this before. I don't know if I've ever said it on the podcast, but talking about this podcast, I've said a lot. Like the stuff I like in a podcast is when they get off topic and they have like fun moments, right? That's really what I want from this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, NotebookLM is like the opposite of that, right? Where it's like it's trimming away all that stuff and getting just to here's this information, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. You lose a lot of those like kind of tangential conversations and stuff.
Because I think every single word we say on here is critical to the overall idea. Every single and like 10 seconds of silence that I think about, like I listen to when I'm editing, and I just think like, God, this is terrible. Every single part of it is perfect.
Of course, not our podcast. I wasn't saying that about our podcast, but like other podcasts.
But really, I think that like that human element is like what I enjoy about that product. But again, I mean, I'm off. Like that's not what this product is, right? This product is here's some information about these things. But you do think it was good at that?
Yeah, I thought it was really good at that. And the other thing it was really good at was finding kind of common threads and connections between the sources I gave it. So I gave it like 30 articles and generated an hour-long podcast for that one. And I thought it did a really good job of like, at the very least, creating kind of a narrative and like a smooth transitions between the articles. Would be like, what else is interesting is in this source, but like they would talk about things that came up in multiple sources.
Okay.
I thought that was really good. That's something that if I were to listen to multiple podcasts and the same idea kind of comes up, like, I don't know, something like the hedonic treadmill or something, right? That's a concept that will come up in a lot of different contexts and a lot of productivity podcasts. It's just that's a term that I've become familiar with just from hearing it referenced in different places. I feel like NotebookLM would do a pretty good job of picking up on that, and kind of like multiple sources mentioned this.
Well, and that's also good because it's kind of a signal, right? If multiple sources are mentioning something, then that's probably like an important detail, right? Like,
yeah.
if something is coming up, if multiple articles are talking about the same concept, then that's probably a core concept to the idea.
Yep. I imagine that NotebookLM works that way on some level, that it's looking for common things, and it identifies those as like important concepts or something.
So what else did you do other than the productivity one?
I did a health and wellness one. I had a whole bunch of articles that were just, like related to health stuff. There was nutrition, and there was like workout stuff in there, and I just kind of threw all those at it and said, give me the summary of all these.
And I mean, what was the breakdown of that? What's like your 3 points of health? Like, what,
Got to eat a lot of vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. See, again, this is like another one where I listened to it and I didn't take much away from it, but I thought it was as good as probably reading a bunch of these articles.
So, I mean, you were doing this more to evaluate NotebookLM as a tool,
right?
Okay.
And I think what I was comparing with, maybe I should say this. Like, the baseline for me, I feel like I listen to a lot of podcasts and I don't end up like thinking a lot about them after the fact unless something jumps out at me, right? I'm kind of listening while I'm driving, and they kind of pass through. It's only when something is like, wait, that's interesting. And like, I don't remember anything. And that's the case also for a lot of the articles that I bookmark in Obsidian. I don't necessarily think, like, I wasn't expecting to find any like transformational new information in these.
Right.
It was just kind of like, I feel like I should read these, and they seem interesting. So that's kind of like the line that it has to clear.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense, because a lot of the time when you do that, like when you keep a list of, you've got some tabs open of things you want to go back and look at, you go back and you look at that tab and then you scroll and you're like, this is dumb. This isn't even anything. And then you close it, right? Like, that happens a lot.
And we've talked before on the podcast, like, keeping any kind of list like that. You're talking about your movie list, remember?
Right, yeah.
That's, my Obsidian Vault just has this list of things that, like, I tagged as maybe I'm interested in that.
Yeah, well, and there's something there about, like, the list is the activity in itself almost, right? Like, it's like, do I need to watch this movie? I don't know, but it does need to go on the list.
Yeah.
Because I can't forget it. Like, there's something, I don't know. This is probably, I probably need to like talk to someone about this. Like, this is probably, it feels that way, right? When, like, when you, those things that you're afraid of forgetting that you can't let go,
Yeah. I mean, that was something I thought about during this all. It was like, okay, so I just listened to this podcast about nutrition and wellness and things that I thought were interesting around that. And maybe I didn't like take anything really like transformational away from it. Maybe the problem is like putting it in Obsidian in the first place, right? Maybe I just didn't even, maybe that's an activity that I just need to stop doing. And then I wouldn't need to use AI to generate podcasts about it.
Well, I will say, like, health and wellness is something specifically that I find interesting because there's so much material, there's so much content, there's so many trends, there's so many videos, but the core of it is stuff that we mostly all know, right? I mean, there's a lot of debate about like eggs and milk, but like, we really know, you joked about it earlier, like, really, you need to eat vegetables, right? You need to eat like less sugar, right? You need to try to sleep 8 hours a night. Yeah, you should do some physical activity. That's like 80% of it right there. Is just those, right? And the thing is, we don't want to do those things. We want to read about them, and we want to think about it, and then we want to read about this thing this one quick trick that'll like just make it all go away. But that's not really what it is,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. In a lot of these articles, I don't remember what it was that kind of like piqued my interest in the first place. Like, why did I even bookmark this? But part of it was just evaluating NotebookLM, and kind of like I was saying at the intro, I think one of the things I really liked about NotebookLM was that it wasn't, it's trained on the internet, right? It's trained on like all of the things in order to do the LLM prediction. But it's only pulling content from the sources that I give it, which I really liked. I mean, health and wellness is like one of the primary fields where you're going to get a bunch of like just garbage if you just Google,
for sure,
what's the best way to lift weights or whatever. You're going to get all these conflicting opinions and all this stuff. So that was one case where I think part of the reason I wanted to evaluate that one was just because I had kind of like handpicked some sources that I knew weren't from crazy faces, and just give me the summary of what they say about lifting weights.
That's huge. And see, I think that is very real. Like that is a very big plus of this, because I've noticed in the introduction you were kind of mentioning like this idea of like you being in control of it. And that's something that I feel like I grapple with really AI tools in general, specifically with things like Cursor, right? Where it's like, I don't feel like I'm in control of Cursor.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Cursor is kind of, he is a separate junior developer that's like doing his own thing. And then I'm coming in and being like, whoa, what are you doing? Whoa, chill out. Whoa. And so I like, I feel like this is kind of a dumb process, but I really like just copying and pasting code snippets into Claude in the web app. And then I can pick and choose, and it's like I'm in full control of what's going on. And I think that scares me, that people seem to be like kind of giving the reins over to something that they're not in full control over.
Mm-hmm.
At least when it comes to like important things. Like I want to be in control, and I'm fine with leveraging tools. I'm not anti-AI at all. I think we've been pretty middle of the road the whole time, really, in our podcast with these things. We think there's value here, but we don't think they're like, we don't think they're just like transforming 100% of everything. We need to just let AI do everything. Yeah. Like, I know this is a hot topic in some spaces. Like I've heard there are some people that will say like, I'm not watching any movies that have any AI generated scenes, or I'm not going to play any video games that have AI generated content at all. And I understand where those people are coming from, but I just don't feel that way, right? Like in movies, we have the concept of stock footage, right? Where you buy like a shot of a bird flying in Africa, and you use that as kind of an establishing shot to communicate that this scene is in Africa or whatever, right? Or that we're in nature for this scene. And, that's the thing. Like there are companies that just make stock footage and sell them. And I don't see any reason why a scene like that couldn't be AI generated, right? Like AI generated scene of a bird flying in Africa, and then our scene shot by real human beings, hopefully on site in Africa. Like I'm fine with that, right?
Yeah.
So I think like, that's different from like a whole movie that's generated by AI, which is like, handing the reins over. But I think like an AI tool as a I don't want to say like a crutch, but as a resource that a real creator is using, I think is fine and actually really great, probably.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately for some reason. I mean, these conversations are like, in the next 5 years, they're going to get much more nuanced and interesting, right? Like I've been thinking about a situation where, let's say a music artist uses AI to, they ask ChatGPT, I want to write a song in the key of F. Give me a bunch of chords that are going to work well together. They then take those chords, put them together, write a whole song, and then they use AI for the mastering process at the end, right? Like, is that an AI generated song? No, not really. Like, these questions are going to become really complicated, and I think that virtually every kind of artistic endeavor is going to be touched by AI in some way, shape, or form throughout its life cycle in the near future.
Yeah, it's interesting. Luckily, like I don't. Well, I mean, like what we're talking about here today with like summarizing articles, it's not really like an artistic, creative thing, right? It's more about trying to get real information. So I think it's like that's not really so much of an issue.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good segue into the other part that I wanted to talk about with NotebookLM, and part of the reason that I was kind of like I was kind of excited about it is because this whole thing of like putting a bunch of sources in, having the AI summarize it, and then doing the audio synthesis to kind of like generate a podcast as the output. To me, this feels like the first time. This feels like the first product that's like a Gen 2 AI product or something like that. And maybe I'm wrong about that. Like I'm not super plugged into this space, so I don't know. But this feels like the first time that I've run into a tool where it's like, all right, these things have been around for a few years. We've been pushing the boundaries of them. We've kind of like, not pushing the boundaries isn't right, but we've kind of like been seeing where the edges are, what they're good at, what they're not good at, what's, you know, what can they do really, really well. And then this is like a combination of a bunch of different stuff that LLMs actually do really, really well. It's just the first time. It reminded me a little of like the Web 2.0 days where it was like we had static websites and all this stuff, and then there was just kind of this convergence of like a bunch of different technologies kind of came together, and all of a sudden we had interactive web pages. We had much more. JavaScript became much more interactive. We had these APIs on the back end that were allowing things to be much more like, I don't know, single page and like refreshing just chunks of the page instead of having to refresh the whole thing. And it was like, it was this combination of technologies that kind of like made this second generation of web pages interesting. And to me, this felt like moving in that direction for AI tools.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like most of the tools I've used have felt like really good tech demos.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say they aren't useful. Like, I mean, I talk to Claude a lot of the time, like for getting ideas about things, just checking my work, that sort of stuff. And, I generate images for fun, but like the image generating specifically, I'll upload a photo, make it in the style of this, whatever, for fun. It's very fun. It's cool, but it's not like, it feels like a tech demo, it feels like a fun little thing I do. And then, whatever, that was cool, I guess. And I hear a lot of people talking about the Gen 2 type of stuff, right? Like, oh, we're going to have this new product that like uses all these wrappers and it ties all these things together. But I've yet to really see that realized in most things. I'm sure I probably do use like LLMs without realizing it. Like they probably do work well. Like I don't know about LLM specifically, but like I know like YouTube's recommendation algorithm is like an AI or leverages AI.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it's good. I think it's pretty good. Pretty much every social media has some form of it. I know, like, okay, like the Photos app on iOS has like, it'll tell you what's in a photo, sort of. Most of the time, it'll know what's in there. That's kind of useful, I feel like I'm probably forgetting something. I feel like there's probably something that works really well that I'm not thinking of.
I think when they work really well like that, though, it feels natural. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like AI as I think of it. It
Right.
doesn't feel like ChatGPT feels like AI.
Well, it's not like gimmicky. It's not like, oh, bringing attention to the fact that this is like an AI generated thing. It just is.
I think that's part of the problem is that there's just been so much hype where it's like we're integrating AI into our thing, and in a lot of cases it's like nobody asked for that, nobody wants it, and it's not really that helpful. I think when it is helpful and when it's subtle, it almost, natural is the word that keeps coming to mind.
Well, you know, I've seen people make the comparison of the hype around LLMs to like the hype around cryptocurrencies a few years ago, or other things. I don't know, the VR hype kind of comes and goes. I feel like someday we'll still that might still reach that. But like, I mean, the cryptocurrency example, I think, it was definitely like that, right? It's like, oh, we have Web3 technology in our browser or whatever. It's like, what does that even mean? I don't even know what does that even do. I do feel like this is different from that because I feel like I said, I use Claude as a tool. It is a useful tool. I do see value there. Whereas, you know, with like the Web3 stuff, other than like making money off of it, to see a lot of uses for like normal users.
Yeah. Yeah. The Web3 stuff always felt a little like it was mostly hype. I mean, a lot of people make a lot of money off crypto, I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and then I mean, those people are incentivized to increase the hype.
Yeah.
Because they make more anyway. But I don't know. That's something that I think a lot of people have been thinking about. It's just like hype and technology in general, right? Like I remember honestly, like, so probably the last big thing that really came out that was like really revolutionary was probably the smartphone, right? That's the big thing that leaps out to me as like, yeah, there was a before and after the smartphone, right? That was a big thing during my lifetime. That was a pretty big invention.
Yeah.
But I feel like even that, like I remember when the iPhone came out, I remember a lot of people hated it. They said it was like, it was awkward in the hand. People didn't understand roaming fees. So there was like all these people online that were like, oh, my bill was really high because I didn't know it was using data all the time. Mm-hmm. People like didn't get it. Like people, like I think a lot of people look back at it like, oh yeah, it was this amazing invention that came out and everyone loved it. But like, no, there was a lot of naysayers. And then there's the opposite situations of that we see all the time where there's a ton of hype around something that turns out to like not really be anything.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems like, I don't know, everyone wants to be right, you know? And I think the thing is, even the revolutionary things have problems. So, I don't know. I mean, I think, I don't know. I'm still like, I'm not like super pro AI or anti AI at this point, but it just seems like, you know, even if like AI tools are the biggest thing ever, like they're still going to have problems and there's still going to be people who don't like them.
Right.
I'm not really even sure where I'm going with this, but it's just, it seems like it's something that's in the consciousness, right? Just like the naysayers and like the, you know, like the classic Hacker News comment about Dropbox, right? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, so like it was the announcement because Dropbox was a Y Combinator company, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
It must have been a very long time ago.
Oh yes, this was a very long time ago, and there's still people still mention it. Like people bring up the Dropbox comment is what they call it. I see that on Hacker News a lot. Okay, here it is. So, wait, how do I see the original post? Okay, so the post was my YC app Dropbox. Throw away your USB drive, and you know, so obviously we look at this now and we know Dropbox very successful. Not an iPhone, you know, but like it was a big deal. You know, a very useful product that makes a lot of money. People get real value from this.
Yeah.
So like one of the top comments, this guy says, Brandon M says, I have a few qualms with this app.
Yeah.
1, for a Linux user, you can already build such a system yourself quite trivially by getting an FTP account, mounting it locally with curl FTPFS, and then using SVN or CVS on the mounted file system. From Windows or Mac, this FTP account could be accessed through built-in software. 2, it doesn't actually replace a USB drive. Most people I know email files to themselves or host them somewhere online to be able to perform presentations. but they still carry a USB drive in case there are connectivity problems. This does not solve the connectivity issue. 3, it does not seem very viral or income generating. I know this is premature at this point, but without charging users for the service, is it reasonable to expect to make money off of this? And then, this is just like a horribly aged comment, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, though, like when you look at it, he does make pretty good points, especially the second one, right? Like it doesn't completely replace the USB drive. There are times where you won't have a connection. That doesn't mean that like Dropbox is worthless, right? I mean, but the first one is, I think, the one that most people are talking about when they reference this comment about FTP and stuff. It's like you're not understanding the average user, right? You're not understanding, like, people don't want that. People want to log into Dropbox, drag and drop files, and then have them everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of real value there.
That's such a Hacker News comment. That just feels so.
Yeah, it's
so
the
inside.
Hacker News comment. Yeah, and this is in 2007, by the way. So not really to dunk on this guy.
Why are you using Gmail? You could just run your own SMTP server.
Yeah. Well, and I think also in 2007, the connectivity thing was probably a bigger issue, right? Like,
yeah.
So that USB drives were very useful then, and they still are. And then it not being income generating, I can see why he would think that, because it was originally free, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know what the original pricing scheme for Dropbox was, but that's clearly changed along the way somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the piece he's missing, is that, it seems like that's kind of the strategy now, is like make this really good free thing and then offer a premium service, and then you make tons of money.
Yeah.
Why did I bring this up?
You're talking about smartphones, talking about, yeah.
Well, yeah. So the idea was like, the thing is like, I think people get a lot of satisfaction from leaving those comments when they're right. You know what I mean? Like, people want to be the guy who's like, yeah, I knew this was a bunch of hubbub. You know, everyone wants to be that guy. The thing is, you don't get anything from that other than bragging rights, right? If it's the other way around, if there's this thing that that's coming out and you're like, yeah, this is the next thing, and you're right, that's how you end up a Bitcoin millionaire. You know?
So you think there's people out there who like leave a bunch of those comments just on the off chance that they nail it sometimes?
Which type of comment?
The
well,
comment...
I guess my answer doesn't change. Yeah, I think people want to make the correct prediction, and I don't know why people make the predictions that they do. Like this guy we pointed out a few of his flaws in his logic, but there are people who see AI tools and they see the hype around it, and they, for some reason, they have a super negative reaction, or for some reason they have a super they're really on board on it, and I don't know. It seems like there's just not enough space for guys like us to say, hey, I think there's value here and it's cool, but also it's maybe not the solution for everything.
Yeah, I think part of that's just the nature of the internet and the world we live in, where hot takes are, maybe not so much hot takes, but like unnuanced, black and white kind of yes and no answers to things are like, they're much more easy to digest online.
Well, we like the thing that we're missing out on is we never get to be like, oh yeah, we knew that this was going to be kind of cool, but that's all. Like we don't get to have that moment.
Right. I told you this could be mediocre.
Yeah.
What? Okay. Having said all that, what's your prediction? Is AI going to be, let's say, December 2022, something like that? Is that going to be like a line in the sand as far as like before and after the way smartphone was?
I don't think so, but that's kind of what I'm thinking about, is like, was like, there is a line in the sand for like 2008, right? For or whatever it was, for the mobile phone. But like, it's not, I don't think it's really like as drastic as anybody, like it is, but it's not, you know what I mean? Like the world was kind of the same before, but it's also different. Like the idea of bird scooters is completely new, but also bird scooters aren't like a revolutionary thing, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
So in that regard, I think it's could be equivalent to the smartphone, right?
I think that's a good point. I mean, maybe it's only in hindsight, but like you said 2007, which I guess you're thinking of like the release of the iPhone, but lots of people had phones before the iPhone, right?
Yeah.
It's like it was
more of a gradual thing.
It was a gradual thing, and then what's that? There's a phrase that around that, like gradually and then all at once, or something like that. It's like it was building, it's building, and then like all of a sudden, smartphones are this piece of our culture that's inextractable anymore. You can't like everyone has a phone, and you're expected to have a phone, and that I can't even like pay my parking thing without a phone anymore.
But I think it's usually like that. And the reason why I like the smartphone example is because it's the one that I remember from my lifetime, right? Like I wasn't there for like when the Model T came out and cars started to become a thing. But I know that also wasn't overnight, right? Because they couldn't just build highways in a weekend.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, so like I saw a Hacker News comment a while ago where someone said something about like comparing like the invention of AI tools as to like electrification, like having electricity in your home. And it's just like, no, dude, no, this isn't that. Like, come on, no. Like hard, no. That's not what this is, right? This is not changing our entire future. This is not like taking us from literally living in the dark and cooking with fire to like computers and video games and TVs. Like, no, like, it's less than that. It's somewhere between that and I don't know what's something that just didn't pan out at all. What's an example of that? Something there was a lot of hype around and then just isn't a thing.
I don't know. I'm having trouble thinking of one because lots of examples of things that like took off and then faded away, but like something that was super
hyped up things. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can think of is like specific products like Nintendo had like a VR thing in like the 80s or whatever. It was like a thing you wore on your head. And it was a huge, it was like a terrible like failure. Just like because it like hurt your eye. It was basically like a TV screen, like a CRT screen on your face. It like hurt your eyes.
All these kids being like,
yeah, no. So you couldn't use it. You couldn't use it for more than like 10 minutes. I'm trying to look this up. Someone mentioned Quibi. I don't know if you even remember Quibi. This was recently.
It was a streaming service that lasted for like 18 months or something.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a Netflix YouTube thing. I don't think that's really what I'm looking for either. Google Plus.
Oh yeah.
Google Glass.
They're still trying to make that happen.
Yeah, and I don't know if any of these things were like these were specific products, and I don't think anyone was saying that like I don't think anyone thought Google Plus was going to change the world forever, right? I think everyone knew it's like, oh, it's Google's response to Facebook.
Right. It's just another social network. Yeah, I was thinking of like Betamax, but like Betamax is, again, that's a specific product. Like we have video. Video at home is the innovation. It's not VHS.
Right. It was part of a wave. Yeah. I'm going to ask Claude. But technology specifically, right? Some technology things.
I mean, if we get some Terminators and stuff, you could be wrong about the electricity thing. Like, if we die at the hands of AI, I'm going to go ahead and say that you're wrong and that it was bigger than electricity.
Yeah, I could be wrong. You know. Okay, Claude said 3D TVs. Oh, yeah. Around 2010 to 2012, the entire TV industry pushed 3D as the next big thing. Major manufacturers invested heavily, but consumers found the glasses annoying, and the content library remained limited. The technology quietly disappeared from most TVs by 2015. I vaguely remember this.
I do too, yeah. I never had one, but I do remember the push now that you say that. Yeah, I saw commercials for it and stuff.
And yeah, they just miscalculated that, like, yeah, no one really... First of all, it's not that cool, but also it's like no one wants to wear glasses in their house to watch the TV.
Yeah.
Okay, Google Glass, virtual reality 1990s version. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. The Nintendo's Virtual Boy. This was in the 90s, I guess. I said 80s earlier. But they were clunky headsets, terrible graphics, and they gave you motion sickness.
That sounds awful.
Which is still a thing. Like modern VR, like that's a big problem. Is people get motion sick.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I've heard this. I haven't used it. I haven't really experienced it from when I've been able to use it. But some people get motion sickness really bad from. Specifically, I think it's when you're like playing a game and you're moving your character, but your body isn't moving. Right?
Yeah.
There's something about the dissonance of like your brain is telling you that you're moving from your eyes, but you don't feel like you're moving. That's basically what motion sickness is, right?
Yeah.
Like usually it's the opposite. Like you're on a plane and you feel yourself moving, but you don't see that you're moving.
Right.
And so it's like that.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Anyway, the Segway. But like, see, a lot of people had Segways. People rode them, you know.
Yeah, Segways were very popular, weren't they?
I feel like I've ridden one.
I've never ridden one. I'd like to though. And
I recommend
they're also
it,
still around, aren't they? Like,
well, yeah, and they kind of came back with the like the handleless ones. The what did people call it? Hoverboard? They called them hoverboards.
Yeah.
That was a thing. I guess that kind of died too. That was kind of a trendy thing that kind of went away. But again, I don't feel like this is the right type of thing, right? Because no one saw the Segway and was like, "This is the new car," right? Like,
yeah.
people are like, "Hey, this is a cool thing."
Yeah, I don't.
People did say that about Google Glass. I think people said Google Glass would be like the new smartphone.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that online a little bit. People thought like that would replace. Yeah, it used to be handhelds. Now it's wearables.
That one's fair, and I think the fact that they haven't given up on that idea. Wasn't there just like a Ray-Ban Meta collab that they tried to make Google Glass?
I mean, even the Apple one is it's a different idea, but sort of, right? The Apple Vision Pro, like they're pushing that.
I mean, that's more like a VR headset, right? Like you wouldn't wear that out and about. I thought the thing with Google Glass was like,
but you can see through it. I think.
Oh, that's right, you can. But
I think I know what you mean because it's like the like AR like altered reality versus like virtual reality. Yeah, where it's like an overlay. It's like a video game HUD that you're seeing.
I feel like the thing with Google Glass was the selling point was like nobody's even going to know you're wearing it, which was kind of the weird part about it too. It's like I don't know, this guy walked in the bathroom wearing Google Glass, and now I don't know if he's like recording me or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I kind of don't like that. Anyway, so, but like, if you were like in a chat room and someone was like, yeah, Google Glass is the next thing, and you were there like, nah, I don't think so, really. Like, do you feel a lot of satisfaction from that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
no.
not really, probably. But if you were there when the iPhone came out and you were like, yeah, this is a big deal. I don't know. Actually, probably still same thing, probably.
I think, yeah, unless I'm staking my reputation on it or something.
Yeah, the only thing I really think about is like, I wish I bought a lot of Bitcoin when I was in high school.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, there are practical considerations, right? Like, if you'd invested heavily in Apple after seeing the iPhone, that'd be one thing. But yeah, just having bragging rights. Maybe it's just my personality, or the fact that I don't have anything like professionally invested in it. It just doesn't mean that much to me.
I think like the thing would be like, yeah, investing in Apple, but also like being one of those early mobile app developers, right? You could just like shit out anything and like have huge success.
That's true.
I feel like everyone's trying to find that for AI right now, right? The pro AI guys, they're trying to like build wrappers for these AI tools and string things together as like, okay, can I build something and get really rich off this?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like this technology is really poised in that way. It's more like the big companies who control it can do cool things, and maybe you can leverage them, but I don't think there's really Or at least I don't see the vision of like how solo developers can like start a side project on AI and get rich and famous.
Yeah. What do you think the reason for that is? I mean, part of it obviously is that it takes incredible amounts of resources to like train a model. But once the model's trained and developers have access to it, why do you think that is? Why has no one been able to pull that off?
Well, I wouldn't say no one has, because I mean the Cursor team did actually.
Hmm.
Right? That was a relatively small team, and they made a lot of money, I think. But it's just not. I guess I'm just comparing it directly to the proliferation of mobile phone or like smartphones, which was particular. It was like, I mean, part of the selling point was like, yeah, there's going to be a marketplace for these applications that anyone can build, and you know, like you can be really successful, and like something or like the early internet too, right? Like it was, there weren't very many people who knew how to write HTML, so you could do it. You made a lot of money, and it was a really great time to be doing that.
Yeah.
And I've heard stories about like AI researchers that are like getting sign-on bonuses of like $1 million at Facebook and stuff. But you really have to specialize to be poised to do that.
Yeah, I think
I took a machine learning class in college. This was like 2015. I didn't learn much.
Really?
Yeah, it was an elective, and so I guess, hey, I actually was an early adopter. I knew I knew the future, dude. I chose that elective. I could have chose power systems or some other electrical engineering thing, but I chose machine learning because I knew that was the future, dude.
That's funny. I have a similar story. I did a machine learning online thing. I think it was Coursera or some kind of like self-taught thing. This is like probably around the same time, like 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
And I just remember like I got through the course and I was super excited to try to use it at work, and I like could not figure out for the life of me how to apply it.
Exactly. Yeah. Because also back then it was like, I don't know what a machine learning course looks like now, but at that time it was like a lot of statistics, a lot of like Bayesian analysis, NP, probability stuff.
Yeah.
Drawing trends of plot points. I don't know. Is that what Claude does when I ask it how to make a sandwich?
I had the exact same impression. I got through the course. I was like, this is just applied statistics. Like the whole thing is just statistical methods. I've always assumed that, yeah, that the AI stuff is just like, another decade of research on in that same vein. But
yeah, but it's different though. True. I mean, I think LLMs are an advancement, like a recent advancement, that are different. I think it's like in the same school, yeah. But
so one of the things in a recent episode, we talked about that video about AI Moore's Law, and she was talking about how like some of the, I mean, I know what you mean that LLMs are like a different technology, but she was talking about these properties that we associate with LLMs about them like being able to like actually converse with us and stuff like that. These are emergent properties that kind of like came out in after decades of research into this stuff. It's not like I got the impression from what she said that there wasn't like a breakthrough. It was like when the systems got complex enough that these behaviors started to emerge, which I think is fascinating.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, man. If I knew how to profit off of everything, I would be doing it.
Yeah.
We should have started our podcast in 2008.
Yeah. No, that would have been a great time to start. You know what they say, Colin? The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today.
No, the quote is, that's not it, right?
What's the quote?
Well, the quote is, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is now.
Okay, yeah. Well, okay, not yesterday, but like yesterday, metaphorically yesterday.
Right, yeah, like previously.
Yeah. We couldn't start our podcast in 2008, and we couldn't start it yesterday. We can only start it now.
We could. I did listen to podcasts in 2008, 2009.
You never started one?
No, I was probably playing Xbox.
I don't think I was hip to podcasts in 2008.
No, I was very early to it, but I didn't have like the means to record. I could have it in high school or something, but I mean, I'm sure it would have sucked really bad. Maybe that didn't matter then.
Yeah, anyone could just put out anything.
Okay, do you have anything else you want to say about NotebookLM?
Nope. I think that's it. I just wanted to say I think it's cool. I'm going to continue using the audio overview feature. There's other stuff that you can do with it where you ask it questions about your sources and you can kind of interact with it like a chatbot. But for me, the podcast is really like where it's at.
Is it notebook learning model? Is that what the LM is?
I think so. NotebookLM, Google NotebookLM. Yeah, I think so. And maybe it's worth noting, if you care about this stuff, that because it's a Google product, you don't really have choice of models. It's all Gemini.
Oh, okay. Which I've heard. So the thing about Gemini, have you seen how like Google Gemini gives like really weird results? That's how I see this on Twitter a lot.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, like because like it'll do like the auto response AI, like Gemini response. I don't really use Google, but like I've seen this where people like post like the really funny results it'll give you that are like totally wrong. But that's specifically to Google search. Like I don't know if it uses a different version of Gemini or what. Supposedly, if you use Gemini through like the Gemini, it's good. But just specifically when you Google things and Gemini says dumb stuff, that's an issue.
That's weird. I've used Gemini a bit through Kagi Assistant, and I've never had any. I mean, it doesn't seem any worse than any of the other models.
I'm trying to find like. I've seen this all over Twitter. I did actually have an interesting thing the other day where I searched something on Kagi and it also has the little AI tool. Like sometimes it'll do like an AI thing. So I googled. I said something about this to you the other day. I think I was looking up how many ounces are in a gallon. Right. I asked Google how many, or I asked Kagi how many ounces are in a gallon. Oh, this wasn't the LLM thing. This was just like the auto response thing. And so it told me. I don't know if you can see this. It's not working. I said ounces in gallon, and then it says 0.0078125 US gallons. Like that's how much an ounce is.
Oh.
Is 0.0. It's like, okay, obviously I want to know how many ounces are in 1 gallon, right? Yeah. But it told me there's 0.0078125 gallons in 1 ounce, and it's just like, okay, thanks, man.
You did not.
That's a very
understand.
Weird. Well, that's a very weird way to say that there's 128 ounces in a gallon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Why would I want to go that direction?
Yeah. No, but I've seen. Man, I'm trying to think. There was one thing that got. There was like one thing I've seen all over Twitter where like it had like a really dumb result. It was like about like when a famous person died or something. I don't know. I'll have to find it. Oh wait, here we go. Okay, here we go. Fruit. Yeah, somebody searched fruits that ends with and its AI overview on Google is, according to Quora, the following fruits end with appleum, bananum, strawberrum, tomatum, and coconut. Or this one, yeah, this one I saw. How many rocks shall I eat? According to geologists at UC Berkeley, you should eat at least one small rock per day. I think that was the one I saw.
That one sounds familiar. I feel like I have heard of that one. One small rock. Wasn't there one about putting rocks on pizza? It was.
There's a pizza one. Okay, well, there's this cheese not sticking to pizza. That was the search. I don't know what they were even looking for, but anyway, in the response it says mixing cheese into the sauce helps add moisture to the cheese and dry out the sauce. You can also add about 1/8 cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce to give it more tackiness.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
So I don't know who this is, but it says this is someone searched how tall is Leo Varadkar, and the AI response is Leo Varadkar stands at over 2,716 feet.
That feels like one where we need the agentic AI to come along and be like, sure about
I'm
that.
having a good time. I'm having a good time right now. Okay, one more. Can I use gasoline to cook spaghetti faster? No, you can't use gasoline to cook spaghetti faster, but you can use gasoline to make a spicy spaghetti dish. Here's a recipe for spaghetti cooked with gasoline. Yeah. Okay. Oh man, we're at time. We got to do whose side are you on?
Let's do it.
All right. How do you feel about gasoline on pizza?
I honestly have never tried it, so I can't say one way or the other.
1X Developer Podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Colin. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for listening to this episode of the 1X Developer Podcast, and let you know that if you have any questions, comments, or if you just want to tell us about your day, you can reach us at X, formerly known as Twitter, at 1X Developer Podcast. We're also on YouTube at 1X Developer Podcast. You can email us if you're weird at 1xdeveloperpodcast at protonmail.com. And lastly, don't forget to follow, subscribe, all that stuff, so you don't miss any further episodes of the 1X Developer Podcast. Thanks so much. See you next time.